Hey everybody, it's Linda with Stamping School. This week I'm working with the Tulips, page 16 of the Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog 2022. And I'll show you how to use the dies, and we'll make a fun pop-up card, and then I'll show you 3 other projects you can do. Now these are the dies, and you know, in the catalog, a lot of people don't understand what this one is. This one and this one. They don't understand how those work because you almost have to have them in your hand, and they fold together to make this really fun tulip. But if you don't have these, or you're not planning on getting these, any flower is going to work with the designs I'm going to show you today. But this is what I call a planter pop-up, and it's just perfect for this, and I left this open so I can add my sentiment later. Now I cut my parts in pieces. I'll show you how the little tulip goes together first. So I'm going to switch the colors up. On this one I did the petal pink as the large one and pumpkin on the inside, kind of to coordinate with my paper right here. But on this one I'm going to do pumpkin on the outside. So when you cut it, it looks like this. And there are, I don't know if you can see, there are a few little indentations here, but you're really not going to notice those a whole lot. All you do is fold this in and fold that in, and that makes your little tulip. It's really hard to see, isn't it? How about if I do that? There. So they just fold in, and then you put your little piece of whatever you want on the inside. That's the tulip. So you can even add a little dimensional inside to make it more puffy. So if you wanted to add this behind it here, and put this here, you know, and then glue it together, it gives it a little bit more dimension. Or what you can do is add another piece like this one. So there's this piece and this one, and you can make it even more dimensional and kind of put them together. When you have them in your hand, you'll really see all that dimension there. So I'm just going to do a little bit of glue here in the middle, and we'll put these two together, and then put a little bit of glue here and here, and bring those together, and hold it down for a second. So there's the flower. All right, so then I have my stem, and that's going to go back here. And you do want a good strong glue, but you don't want anything that's going to be sticky after you stick this on. So I'm just going to do this right now and then let it dry. Now what I found on this one is that, because it is a little wobbly, but I kind of like that. But on the back of this one, I added another little piece of flower. But I thought this time I'm going to add another stem just for stability and see how that works. So I'm just going to see how that does. Let that dry while we make the rest of the card. Put these aside. So for the front of my gate card, I'm using the tulip paper, and then what I decided to do is switch it up so that the flowers were on the bottom, so when you opened it, it looked like they were coming out of the top. See, the flower was kind of growing out of it. And you might not recognize the paper because that's not in the tulip paper. This is actually in the pansy paper. Remember the pansy paper that we have in the annual catalog? I was doing kits for these for my team, and I had to do 48 of them, so I really had to stretch this tulip paper. So when I went back and looked at what else I had, the pansy paper had this great stripe with the evergreen and the succulent, which matches perfectly with all the papers. So I kind of like the stripe with it. But let me show you some other options with the tulip paper. So you could do this pattern, and this is another one in the tulip paper. Or you could do the clouds up at the top, like that. You could do these tulips on the bottom and this green, or you could switch it around and do green like grass and tulips on the bottom. You could do this one, and I kind of like it with the whole thing, tulips like that. But on the back side, there's this pattern. So lots and lots of opportunities in that tulip paper. But for this one, I'm actually going to do the tulips on the bottom. For the Gatefold card, this is the Evening Evergreen. It's 5.5 by 8.5. And remember, you can print the directions. All the measurements are right there for you in the PDF. Just look for the link in the description. If you just score it at 2 1/8 and then turn it around in 2 1/8, it's going to give you a nice gatefold. So I'm going to start with the flowers on the bottom. And I tend to like to put the glue just up at the top and then kind of measure it. With the gatefold because it's 2 1/8, you're either going to have to make this a touch longer, or you're going to have to make that just a little bit less than 2 inches, if that makes sense. Just because it's just at 2 1/8, the 2 inches is a little tight. But you can just kind of trim it down just a little bit. I think on this one I'm going to do this design and see how it looks. So we're going to do all tulips on this one. Let's see. I do like the stripes, but I want to see how this comes out. I might like the stripes better, but I still like this. Let's do this little sentiment right here. I'm going to stamp that circle in the evening evergreen. It's photopolymer, so we can really see what we're doing. All right, if you still have the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, that fits it perfectly also. Little piece of gold foil right here with the scallop. Make sure that's dry. Now don't glue it to this yet, because that's going to be our closure. So that's going to come back here. So we're only going to glue part of that right here to the back side. But first we're going to add this right here. So I'm going to close this, get it right in the center, and put the glue just on the bottom right here. Just right there. I sort of line up the thank you right there. Now, if you feel like you want a little more contrast, what you can do is you can use 2 circles like this. It's going to be a little bit heavier, but you can do 2 circles and you can layer this right here. Let's put a little bit more glue at the bottom. It's going to all make sense in a minute. Put this right here together like that. Okay, and then what you're going to need is another circle back here. And don't let that glue show. So these two can go together down at the bottom to make your closure, all right? So we'll put glue just here on the bottom. Put those together. And then that's going to close right between them like that. So it makes it stay closed. So on this one, there's just 1 circle behind here. And when you close it, only the gold shows, which I think shows up a little bit better with the green down here. This one, you kind of needed a little bit extra behind it because the flowers are so graphic. Now, one thing, when we were doing this together with my team, my friend Cindy Brumbaugh said what you could do is you could just do half of it. So you could actually do 1 circle, mount it on here, and then put it between the gold. So you choose. There's a lot of different ways, but if you're doing something really bold like this with a lot of different colors, I kind of like it this way. If you're doing this one, I like just the gold. All right, now let's get to the inside, because the inside is the fun part. We're going to make that. Your insert is going to be 5 1/4 by 7 1/8, and that's because we want to have a little bit of a layer around here, and we need to make that little square planter. So 5 1/4 and 7 1/8 long, and then you're going to score at 3/4, 1 1/2, 2 1/4, 3 inches, and 3 3/4. And so that's each one of these panels is 3/4 inches. So then what we do is we fold them all in like this. So as we roll them all in, you don't have to do this last one. It's really just a guide, and all of these fold together like that. So this last score line is your stopping point, and that's the one you can put the glue on. So you can put the glue right here, and as you roll this all together, it stops right there. So if you roll one more, it's going to be too short, okay? So just stop right there, and this is what you want. Okay, so now you're at this point. Before you put this little decorative paper on, we're going to put the flower on. So we've already got this one ready. It's going to go right about here. Just make sure when it closes, it doesn't go above your card. So I'm just going to put a little glue down here. This will go right here. And then your leaves have to go in there. There's 2 different styles of leaves. I did the tallest one here on the edge, here, and then the shorter one over on this side, just like that. And that's actually really sturdy with the 2 stems together. And then a lot of glue. We're going to cover all that up. with the paper. Again, pansy paper. This cute little gingham and the succulent that's in there works perfectly to cover that up. And then, of course, if you want to put your green sentiment in, I just plan on stamping one, punching it out, and sticking it on here because I know I'm going to screw it up if I don't. So I'm going to punch it out and do it that way. I feel like it needs a couple of these little butterflies, though, back here. These are so cute. They're so nice and flat. They're not going to get harmed. They're not going to be harmed in the mail. These little guys in the mini catalog, the brushed brass butterflies, they're fantastic. All right, so I'm going to put that here, and then we can stick it in the card. Now, when you glue it in the card, you're going to want to glue this bottom part right here and the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue the back. I'm going to come here, here, put 3 big pieces of tape, glue, whatever. You're going to set it right in the seam. Oop, let me bring my white back. There we go. You're going to put it right in the seam. You have a little bit of layer around the sides. Get it right in the seam there. Put it up here. Perfect. Okay. And what we want is to glue this bottom piece right here. So fold that up. Put a little bit of glue down here. And fold it. There. That way it'll pop open. I love it. I don't know which one I like better. I think this is going to be confusing for people to close with 2 of them on there, but I like how it looks. I think my favorite is still this one with the green on the top or on the bottom. You decide. And let me show you the other cards that I made using the tulips. This one is one of my favorites. I love it. It's with the pool party. So it's pool party and then that beautiful paper in the tulips, and it's 3x4, so it fits in perfectly. This is in the tulip paper, and it's layered on a black piece of cardstock so that it just gives that little bit of definition between the two. And then a piece of vellum right here, and then there's that sentiment in the set that I love. Just thinking of you today, I did that in black. And then I didn't do any stamping. I just took my white ink pad and a little sponge dauber and just gave it just a little bit of white shading on the poppy paper because I wanted it to kind of look like this. So this layout is so great. You can do it for anything, and the little bit of vellum helps soften that pattern back there. There's that one. And then I did this one. This one I love because I rarely use purples, and this gives a great opportunity with this paper to use a lot of heather. And this is Gorgeous Grape, and this is the Highland Heather, and I embossed it with the brick folder. The You Are Amazing comes from some dies that are in the mini catalog. Back here, right here, Amazing Silhouette, there's a You Are Amazing dies, page 76. But of course you could do anything right here. And then I used Daffodil, but that little glimmer that's in there, that comes from the ombre paper. We've got this glitter paper in the annual catalog in yellows and like a poppy red and blue and purples. And these are perfect for the tulips. So don't forget to grab that out because they work so great with this tulip bundle. So a little bit of this yellow, sparkly yellow inside there, and the tulip paper just along the side. And that Highland Heather ribbon, which is real sparkly. That's in the annual catalog too. Now these are done with the mercury glass. So the acetate that's in the annual catalog, those are on page 135. Also, those ombre glitter papers are on page 135 of the annual catalog. But the mercury glass paper comes in 2 shades, and one of them is Rococo Rose, which is retired, but it goes really well with Razzleberry. So this one is Razzleberry, and the paper is from this rainbow glimmer paper that we have. That's on the annual catalog, page 135. So I did a little bit of the green, and then I did some yellow and some of these pinks right here for this one. I think it's so cool. And the acetate, I put white behind this one, so it really helped it pop out. I was like this. I just love the glitter paper on it. And on this one, it's Gorgeous Grape and nothing behind it, although you could put the white behind it. And then this is that die right here, this little guy. Someone said, what do I do with that? And I said, well, I don't know, but let's try it this way. So I just ran it through my paper first. I kind of like it. So, and again, the glitter paper, that one's from the ombre, this one. I did those. See the light and the dark in there. And again, that just thinking of you today in the circle, I love it. And then I got this card in the mail, and this is from Debbie Heilman. She's in Bushnell, Florida, and she did that pretty tulip paper and this border, this long one in the poppy. And you can see it's just sort of all up right here. Isn't that pretty? And just a little bit on the inside showed that pretty white sparkly ribbon that we had at Christmas time that we still have. And it looks great. Okay, so there's a bunch of tulips for you. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this was a long one. And we'll see you next time. See it, learn it, stamp it.